So this is about plotting a graph for time taken for parachute to descend with different lengths of string. So the first thing we need to do is work out the average for the different string lengths. So one approach is to use your calculator at home and calculate the average. But the other thing is, what's really nice about computers is they can often do the hard work for you. Now, with spreadsheets, if you want to try calculating something, most things start with the equal sign. So if you want to do a calculation to equals, and we want to add the three values together here, so we can open a bracket and we can choose the things we want to add together. So you click on the things we want to add together, click on the first one, put a plus in, click on the second one, put another plus in, click on the third thing, and then close the brackets like so, and hit enter. Now that gives me the total. So what I need to do is I need to divide by 3 because I'm using 3 values to work out the mean. So mean is now calculated. Now, if you can manage to write the formula at least once, one of the brilliant things is you can just copy this value lots of times. You can see if I move my mouse to a corner, it turns into a white little cross, and I can drag it down. And now it copies the calculation which is used down each time. So now what I need to think about is, well, I should check, are any of the values which I've got probably not supposed to be in the average. Now I can look at the one for 30, and that to me looks like an anomalous value. So when I want the average, I don't want to include either of those. So I go to my formulae. That cell is G6. We don't want G6, but the other thing which just could be, we want the average of the other two, so we could do equals, open brackets, choose the first one, put a plus symbol in, choose the second symbol, second cell, close brackets, divide by 2, which gives us 12, which is what we expect. Now we want to plot a graph of this. So we want to do string length against average time. And this sort of graph might well, because it's sort of got, it could be any string length, so it's something known as a continuous variable. I would suggest this might look like a scatter graph or a line graph. So I select data, I do insert. In terms of charts, I always find it easier personally to choose it myself. So I click on insert charts. Now I'm going to assume it's probably going to be a sort of like a curve. So I'm going to choose something called a scatter graph. So I click on the scatter graph with points shown so I know where my values are. And I get the following. So it's showing me string length against different times for it to reach the ground. Now, graph isn't what I would call a brilliant graph in terms of when I ask you to plot a graph, I don't expect it to necessarily start at 0, and I would like you to have the data having over half graph. I also don't know what the values mean here, and this isn't really quite clearly put. So I know these things at the bottom are string lengths, so it's going to involve writing the text string length below. Now for this graph, it has 2 axes, the thing at the bottom and the thing at the top. Most of the functions of a graph will be accessible by clicking on the thing which says chart. And let's just talk about axes. So we're talking about one at the bottom. Look, there's a little bit in blue there. So I want to change it, and I want to change the text to string length. So that's starting to look a little bit more like a graph. The second one, time taken to reach the ground, is what I want to know, or what this axis here, the y-axis, is going to be. So click on chart, vertical, you can see it's showing a little bit of text here. Edit, text, time to reach ground in seconds, and it's actually average, so it might be even better writing average here, like so. Average time to reach ground in seconds. I'm just going to make it slightly larger. Now, that just means that sort of text fixes on there. Now, legend, we just choose get rid of that. That means it's more focused on the data. Now, the next thing, we want to try making maybe the graph start with a string length of 10 centimeters. And We also want it to maybe start with the time reaching the ground being about 10 seconds. So the next thing we need to do, I've just noticed I haven't set the title, by the way. So we want to set the title. So we want to copy the text, which should make the title. Again, it sometimes chooses chart or highlights chart automatically. But so chart title, edit chart title, put chart title in here. Now we want to adjust the format. So we click as in how it's formatted. So firstly, thinking about a horizontal axis, we'd like to start at 10. So we could choose 10. And we can see it helps. Make sure it's using more than half the width. The maximum value is 30, so that's all I need to go to 35, so we can do that. So that's starting to fill up more of a space. Second one we can do is for vertical axis. The lower value, I would suggest about 10. Just looking at the graph. Maximum value 18, I think is absolutely fine, like so. And there we have our graph. So we can show that roughly as string length gets longer for a certain extent, the time taken to reach the ground becomes longer. But then at some point, it's a bit quicker. And we've removed all the anomalous values, and I can't see scanning the table there's any other values which are wrong. So that's how we plot a graph for time taken for a parachute to descend with different string lengths.